Once again, welcome to my channel with a new topic. Today's topic is good manufacturing practices in dairy plant. In short, it is called GMP. So this is one of the basic practice which is important for quality control of any food products and in dairy plant, and this is part of the total quality management in any food industry including dairy industry, and it has a connection with HACCP and other sanitary practices. So altogether these three aspects plays important role for best quality products. So separately we are going to discuss about HACCP. Cleaning and sanitation we have already discussed. So today we will discuss only about GMP. What is GMP? What are the components? What are the principles? And how to implement it. Good manufacturing practices yield good quality. We will see the different aspect of it, like personnel training and competency, management commitment and continual improvement, risk management, quality management systems, site and facilities management, and product control. So these are different aspects through which the GMP can be implemented in any food industry or dairy industry. Here we will understand in little more details about the good manufacturing practices in food industry in general. The first part is documentation and records, that is preparation of process documents, productive process plan including HACCP, which we will discuss separately, and then generate, file, conserve and store process records. The second aspect, that is production and process control, in which we should act on food risk control, requirements of raw material and relationship with suppliers and conservation of raw materials, production process control, which include control of the processes of production, that is the process of making different food products. So there is always the most important aspect to control the quality. And then finally storage and distribution control. So storage and distribution is the last part, but it is very important to maintain the quality. So once again, the good manufacturing practices focuses on three important aspects. One is control of contamination, then supervise general employee hygiene, and then ensure safe food handling practices. So these three plays important role in the quality management of the any food product. But in general, if we see the overall GMP, it includes quality management, suitable facilities and qualified personnel, complaints and recall, traceability. Traceability means any product we should be able to trace where from it comes, which date, which batch and all details. And most important aspect is hygiene in production. Here once again we will see in more details about the different aspect of principles of good manufacturing practices. So from the top left corner we can see clearly defined and controlled process, changes in the process to be evaluated and controlled, and well documented procedures, then employee training of procedures, system to address recalls of sales or supplies. Whenever there is any issues and complaint, there has to be a system to recall. Then control environment to prevent cross contamination, that is the first step for preventing the contamination. Then corrective and preventive action, then risk management, then clean and hygienic manufacturing areas, that's the premises of the plant, it has to be maintained very clean and hygienic. And investigate customer complaints, whenever there is any complaint we must investigate and know the details. Then traceability of manufacturing and distribution, which I have already told earlier. and then deviation in manufacturing process steps to be documented. So these are some of the detailed aspect about the GMP. As I mentioned, contamination is a very important point for maintaining the quality of any food product. So here we will see the sources of contamination. Firstly, by people, that is the personnel or workers, then by food materials, by packaging materials, by hazardous materials, by other sources. So right side diagram, once again we can see the GMP, where it starts with quality management system, sale and facility management, product control, staff training, management commitment and risk management. So this is a continuous process through which the good quality can be maintained in a food plant or dairy plant. Here we will see how to prevent contamination. That is, any behavior that could result in food contamination, such as eating, use of tobacco, chewing gum or other unhygienic practices, is not allowed in food handling areas. This is one of the most important point to be followed by all the people working in food processing plant. In the diagram, once again we can see the different components like management commitment, risk management, quality management system, equipment and facilities management, product control and personnel training. These are the different aspects for good manufacturing practices. Here we will talk about food handling practices, that is, after the food is prepared, how it is handled, that is during packaging and further storage and distribution system. So here two important aspects are involved. One is the personnel, another is the product. So in both the aspect we should have complete hygienic practices, and to prevent further any post-processing contamination, then only we can keep the quality till it reaches the consumers. Here you will see how to maintain the employee hygiene. All employees working in direct contact with food or food contact surfaces and food packaging must conform to hygienic practices. So we are going to discuss more details about those practices. So the personal hygiene and different other aspect of the employee is very important, and this protects against contamination of food by microorganisms or unwanted materials, so other hazardous materials. So employee hygiene plays very important role for maintaining the good manufacturing practices, and GMP is at the center, in which the HACCP sanitation and regulatory compliances comes into to finally keep the good product. So here we will discuss about the hygienic practices or personal hygiene of the workers and how to prevent the communicable diseases. So these practices are very important, like clothing. They should have clean clothing free from any darts and any contamination. The hair, they should have short hair or it should be covered with headgear. There should be proper personal habits, like any bad habits, eating, chewing, tobacco, etc. I have already told. Then hand washing. So washing of hands after using the restroom or toilets is very important with sanitary soap. Then illness and disease. So anytime when workers are sick or having any disease, they should be away from food processing area and proper care and checkup should be done. If they have any injuries, again they should not handle the food, because that may cause both way harm to either to the worker or to the food contamination. Then visitors should be strictly controlled and they should have proper practices before entering the plant or food processing plant. And training is very important for the workers, because they should be made aware about the importance of all these aspects, and it has to be repeated once in a while, maybe after every 3 months or every 6 months. These things should be repeated so that they should not take it casually. So here once again we will discuss about the precautions for production employees. Again, it is part of the hygienic practices, like daily bathing. So daily bathing makes the employees clean and prevents any sources of contamination during handling through the hands. No jewelry, normally jewelries are prevented while working in the food processing plant. No false nails or nail polish, these are highly hazardous and sometimes toxic. Then fingernails should be trimmed short. So fingernail should be trimmed short because there are lot of dirt deposits, and that's the source of many pathogens and contamination. No eating, drinking or chewing gum, which I have already mentioned earlier. No perfume, aftershave and fragrant creams. So all these things can be contaminated or absorbed. Any strong smell will be absorbed to the food, or any cream etc. can be toxic. So all these things should be avoided. So here once again we will discuss about hand hygiene, that is the hand washing, an important checkpoint. So hands are most important in handling the food products. All employees must wash their hands thoroughly during this occasion, like when they enter food handling areas. Before starting the work they should wash their hands. After handling contaminated or dirty materials they should wash their hands. After breaks, whenever they go for breaks and come back, they have to wash their hands thoroughly. And after using restroom or toilet facilities, which I have already mentioned earlier. Now we will discuss little more details of different aspects of good manufacturing practices. So it is commonly told as 5 P's: people, product, processes, procedure and premises. So people, that is the comprehend roles and responsibility. People plays the most important role, that is all people working at different section of the food processing. Then products, it should have clear specification at every phase of production. So production is done as per the proper specification. Then processes, properly documented, simple and consistent. So there is some process for making the product which should be documented, simple and repeated exactly. Then procedures, that is the guidelines for undertaking critical processes. So there will be always certain procedure to be followed as guidelines. It has to be undertaken properly as per the critical process. And finally the premises, that is the different places where cleanliness and equipment calibration at all times. So these 5 P's plays the major role in GMP. So out of this 5 P, first is the people or personnel, which plays major important role. So for them some more specific instructions, like do not leave gloves, masks etc. lying around while on break or at shift end. The crates, boxes, containers or buckets must not be placed directly on the floor. The store brooms and dustpans at stations provided. All these store brooms or dustpans should be kept in an appropriate place. So these are some of the specific instructions for the people or personnel in addition to their personal hygiene etc., which we have already discussed. Here are some specific points about the product, like keep hand contact with ingredients to a minimum. Check ingredients for expiry dates to ensure that fresh ingredients are used. Cooling products should always be kept covered and under proper cold storage. So these are some of the points to be kept in mind for implementing the GMP, and we can see the infrastructure requirements for GMP like equipments, quality control, documentation, health and hygiene, storage and working place. So these are almost same points we have already discussed. Here we will see some of the production related equipments and utensils and their maintenance related to GMP. The production equipments must be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized with appropriate sanitizer after use. So this we have discussed thoroughly in a separate lecture about the cleaning and sanitation of every aspect of the dairy plant or food plant. Then check the surfaces before starting equipment. Remove any foreign objects or dirt. So whenever we are going to use any surface or machinery, we must check their cleanliness and anything adhering. And scrapers for cleaning utensils, molds, tabletops are not to be used on the floor. So some scraping agent, if we are using for cleaning of utensils or tabletops, should not be used for same thing, same scrapers for cleaning the floor. Here we will see some of the specific precaution related to premises, like keep unscreened door and windows closed. If there is no screen in doors or windows, they should be kept closed. Report any pests such as flies, insects, mice droppings, etc. Work areas should be cleaned regularly throughout the shift. Ensure that production area is completely separated from maintenance and repair area. Ensure the production area is clear of all tools and hazards before production starts. So these are some of the specific precautions to be followed in the working areas or premises for maintaining the GMP. So here is some instruction related to visitors to production areas. Firstly, should always be accompanied. No visitors should go on their own inside a processing plant, I mean food plant or dairy plant. Must be appropriately dressed. The visitors should be properly dressed before entering the food processing area. And thirdly, hair coverings, gloves, aprons, shoes cover. There are specific shoes cover. All these things should be properly provided before taking the visitors to the food processing plant. So now we are at the end of today's lecture. Today we have discussed about good manufacturing practices in general for food processing plant and also for dairy plant. And we will just sum up here. We have discussed what is GMP, what are the different components and what are the aspects, and some of the important details, particularly about the 5 P's. So GMP is an important part of the quality control in dairy products, and this includes the implementation of HACCP and sanitary practices. In the right side diagram, we can see it's like a cycle, that is planning, doing, checking, and again acting on the defects. So it includes quality records, batch records, etc. at the bottom, then forms, protocols, work instructions, then SOPs, and then quality policy and quality assurance. Thank you.